Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about AI foundations for cloud people because you hear LLMs, tokens, embeddings, RAG, agents all the time and you kind of nod along, but no one has really built it step by step. So when I say model, I think most people pictures rules like an expert system or a giant database of facts, and that's not exactly what's happening. The model is a neural network, and the idea came from looking at how our brain works. In a human brain, you've got on the order of tens of billions of neurons. Then you've got this enormous number of synapses connecting them, and the key idea is it's not like knowledge sits there as a list of facts. It's the pattern of connections and how strong those connections are. As I learn, those synapses get strengthened, weakened, added or removed. That's the memory. So an artificial neural network copies that shape. I've got an input layer, hidden layers in the middle, and an output layer. Each connection has a weight, which is basically how strong is the connection. Each neuron has a bias, which shifts when it activates. And those weights and biases are the parameters. It's patterns encoded as numbers and not facts in a database. Now I need one hierarchy in my head. AI is a broad field, machine learning is a subject, learning from data. That's the multi-layered neural networks that powered modern AI, and that's the base. Now I've got a neural network, but at the start it's useless. The weights and biases are basically random, so it knows nothing. Training is where I feed huge amounts of data through it, books, websites, code, research paper, and then it runs this iterative loop. It predicts, it compares to what it should have predicted, and then it adjusts the parameters to reduce the error over and over. All that knowledge gets compressed into those weights and biases. That's where, and that's why training is expensive. It's massive compute, massive time, massive cost, but for a given model version, it's typically a one-time training run. Once training is done for that model version, those parameters are set. It's read-only during inference, so when I use it, it doesn't keep learning from my questions. A model trained on broad data like that is a foundation model. It's general purpose, and then I can adapt it later for what I need. One more scale point at the time of this video, a lot of modern LLMs are in the billions or trillions of parameters. That number is literally how many weights and biases exist. It's how much capacity it has to store patterns. And then I separate two phases. Training is learning. Inference is using the trained model to generate outputs every time I ask a question, and that difference matters every time, everywhere later. So an LLM is a large language model. It's a big neural network trained on text. It's really good at understanding and generating human language, but it doesn't read words like I do. It works with tokens. A token can be a word, part of a word or punctuation. Each token maps to a number, so the model is doing math on numbers, not thinking in English. And you feel this when you hit weird words. Common words might be one token. Long or uncommon words get split, like supercalifragilistic doesn't go in one thing, it becomes many tokens. And now, how does it respond? It generates one token at a time, it looks at everything in the input, then it produces a probability distribution across possible next tokens, it picks one, appends it, and then does the same thing again and again until it's done. That probability piece is why settings like temperature exist. Low temperature, it tends to pick the highest probability token, so it's more predictable. High temperature flattens things out, so it will pick less likely tokens more often. Usually you get more variation, but you also get more randomness. And it can't look at infinite text. It has a context window, so that's the maximum number of tokens it can consider in one interaction. prompt plus response together. At the time of this video, some modern models support hundreds of thousands of tokens. That's a lot, but it's still finite. Under the hood, the architecture that made this practical is the transformer, invented in 2017, and the attention mechanism is what lets it relate different parts of the input to each other. It's not just reading left to right like older approaches. And some models are multimodal, so they can work with text plus images or audio, even video as inputs and outputs. It's still the same core ID, tokens and prediction, just applied to more than text. A model by itself is not what I interact with day to day. When I use an assistant like Copilot, there is a layer in the middle doing a lot of work, that's the orchestrator. So I send my message to the orchestrator, not directly to the model, and one of the first things it does is add a system prompt. Those are the hidden instructions. Act like this, follow these rules, keep this tone, maybe respond in a specific format. And now the critical thing, the base model is stateless. It has no memory between requests. If I send a message, get an answer, then send another message, the model itself doesn't remember the first one. So how does chat works at all? The orchestrator holds the conversation history. Every turn it takes the system prompt, then my earlier messages, then my assistant's earlier answers, and then it resends all of that with my new message. Every time the model just sees a big blob of tokens and response. And that's why the context window matters so much. The system prompt plus the full history plus the new question plus the new answer all have to fit. If the conversation gets long, sometimes has to be trimmed and summarized, or you just run out of space. It's also why starting a new chat for a new topic helps, otherwise all history takes up the context and it can steer the answer in strange directions. The orchestrator is usually one of the places where safety checks and content filtering gets applied, and it's commonly where grounding happens. I make sure the model gets the right information. In Azure terms, Azure OpenAI service provides the model, then things like Semantic kernel or the tooling in AI foundations for cloud people can help me build the orchestration layer around it. Think of the model like a brilliant expert with no memory between visits. Every visit is a fresh start. The orchestrator, the assistant who hands over my full file every time. And once I accept the model, is just predicting tokens from what I give it. Prompt engineering becomes pretty logical. It's a skill of crafting that input so the model has the best chance of producing the output I want. A good prompt usually has three parts. I give it a role. You are a brand strategist. Then a clear goal, like identify 3 ways of improving this. Then the format, like provide 3 concise bullets. And those constraints matter because the model will try to satisfy what I asked for. Now, sometimes I do zero-shot learning. That means I ask for a task with no examples. It relies only on training, but often the output jumps in quality if I do few shots learning. I had a couple of small examples, so the model sees a pattern, then it follows that pattern for my real input. And notice how this connects back to the orchestrator. The system prompt is where the overall behavior is set, like you are an helpful assistant that responds in JSON format. Most of the time I don't see that system prompt as a user, but it's still part of what the model receives. And yes, garbage in, garbage out applies directly here. If my prompt is vague, I get vague. One more term that's worth knowing is instruct tuning. Modern models are trained to follow instructions, not just autocomplete text. That's why they feel like assistants instead of a fancy next word keyboard. Remember, the model only knows what it saw in training up to its cutoff date. It doesn't know what happened yesterday, and it definitely was not trained on my documents, my emails, and my databases. So if I ask it summarize my meeting's notes, it can't because it doesn't have them. If I ask it check my Azure environment, it can't because it can't see my tenant without extra help. It will still answer, but now if it might be hallucinating, it will generate something that sounds right, but it might be completely fabricated. RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, is a pattern that fixes that without retraining the model, because the orchestrator sends my prompt to the model, it goes and retrieves relevant information from external sources. Then it augments the prompt, it basically appends that information and sends the whole package to the model. The key point is the model has not changed, it's still the same read-only foundation model. I'm just giving it the missing context at query time. The sources can be a lot of things: documents, databases, APIs, web search results. In Azure, that could be data from Microsoft Graph, Azure Resource Graph, Cosmos DB, or blob storage. And this is the basic idea behind a lot of Copilot style experiences. If I ask a Copilot experience about my resources, one common pattern is it pulls real inventory data from something like Azure Resource Graph, it adds that into the prompt, and then the model I write an answer grounded in the data. Now RAG versus fine-tuning is an important fork. RAG is bring the data at query time, it's flexible, there is no retraining, and fine-tuning, it is change the parameters that's more permanent, more expensive, and less flexible. But it can improve behavior for a specific domain. And one of the best reasons to do RAG is reducing the risk of hallucinations. When the model has good sources, it has something factual to work from. So yeah, RAG sounds great, but there is an obvious problem. How do I find the right few pieces of data out of a million documents fast enough to answer a chat question? If I do traditional keyword search, it breaks quickly. If I search for boss, I won't find documents that only says manager or leader, even though they mean the same thing. Natural language has synonyms, it has context, it has ambiguity. So the way we fix this is using embeddings. An embeddings model is a specialized model, it's not just the same as a LLM. Its job is to take an input like text or even an image or audio and output a vector. That vector is one dimensional array of hundreds of thousands of numbers, and that vector represents meaning. So boss, manager, and leader end up as vectors that are very close to each other in vector space, even if the words are different. Now I need something to store all of those vectors. That's a vector database, sometimes called Semantic Index in Azure. The common service here is Azure AI Search. It can ingest documents, chunk them, create embeddings for those chunks, store them, and make retrieval fast. At query time, I do the same thing to my question. The orchestrator sends my question through the same embedding model. So now the question is also a vector, and the semantic search is basically nearest neighbor search. I look for the stored vectors that are closest to my question vector. Closest distance means closest meaning. I grab the top results, those become the retrieve content that I had into my prompt for the LLM. And there is one more important mode, hybrid search. Semantic search is great for meaning, but it can be weak for exact matches like part numbers or SKUs. So hybrid search combines semantic and lexical to get the best of both. And it's not only Azure AI Search that can play here. You also see vector support in Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore and Azure Database for PostgreSQL. The core ID stays the same. Store embedding, do similarity search, then feed the results into the prompt. Think of it like a huge library where items are placed by what they're about. A book about managing people sits next to leadership, even if the exact words differ. That's what vectors plus semantic search are doing for my data. So now I've got the full RAG loop, but a lot of what I want is not just answers, I want actions. So agents handle that. An agent is an AI system that doesn't only generate text, it can take actions like querying a database, calling an API, or running code. Mechanically, it's still the same orchestrator and model, but now the orchestrator tells the model what tools exist. The model can then generate a tool calling request. The orchestrator executes it. The result gets fed back into the conversation, and then the model generates the final answer based on the tool output. You will also hear something called MCP, Model Context Protocol. The point is standardization. It's a consistent way to expose tools and data sources to models, so tool calling is not a custom one-off every time. Now the big decision people ask about is, do I use RAG or fine-tuning? If I need model to know my private facts or stay current, RAG is usually the answer because it adds data at query time. If I need a specific style domain, vocabulary, or behavior that prompting can't reliably produce, that's when fine-tuning starts to make sense because it modifies the model. And fine-tuning doesn't always mean retraining everything. LoRa, low rank adaptation, is an efficient method that updates onto a small subset of the parameters, so it's much more accessible. There will also RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback. Humans rate responses, and that feedback is used to improve helpfulness and safety. That's part of my instruction following models behave the way they do. And whatever I build, hallucination mitigation stays important. I can do randomness detection, I can ask for citations, and I can apply content safety filters. I also have to think about responsible AI. I don't send private or work data to external AI services unless I'm confident about how the data is handled, and I double check the privacy settings. Finally, none of this works without GPUs. Neural networks are lots of parallel mass. GPUs can do a ton of operations into parallel, which is exactly what training and inference need. So the whole shape is a model is a trained neural network with fixed parameters. At inference time, it predicts the next token based on probability with no memory between calls. The orchestrator is what makes it feel like an assistant because it manages system prompts, history, safety, and it can pull in the data. And RAG is a key pattern: embed the data, do semantic search, retrieve the right chunks, and then to the prompt, and the model answers grounded in your reality. So that's it. As always, I hope this was useful. Till next video, take care.